Hello, welcome to the Mark Atwood Show, Adventures in the Cosmic Suit. How's it going? Don't forget, the most important thing you should do is sign up to the email list in the description box below the video. You should know where that is by now. Thank you very much. I do appreciate it because it's the best way of staying in touch with me. As you know, I like bringing amazing people on to the show whenever I can, and I'm pleased to welcome back the lovely IndigoAngel. Hello.
Hey, Mark. How's it going? It's nice to be here.
Well, it's been a while. How have you been? You've been busy.
I've been very busy. So much going on. I've been traveling the world and doing a lot within the Gridwork, and so have you as well. So you were telling me a little bit about that, and it sounds very exciting.
Yeah, it's funny because I think of myself as an amateur and I think of you as a professional because I just sort of bumble through it, but you seem to know what you're doing.
It's so funny because I see you as the professional and I'm the one bumbling through it.
That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah, no, I think you have so much wisdom to bring to the table, and that's why I just always reach out to you, is because I am really interested in the things that you're doing as well, and also the place that you're holding in Ireland. Ireland has always really called to me in some of the locations there in terms of grid activations and the sacred knowledge and the sacred wisdom. I think Ireland is such a key foundation to our ancient history. And so I think you're just holding those codes inside your field to activate everybody to them. So it's really cool.
Oh, I mean, that's really funny, because the town that I'm in was calling me 28 years ago. I cast a girl in a play in Manchester. Her mother was from this town. Long story short, I ended up. It's just like it was like a big rope over time, just pulling me in, and then finally, it was actually my idea to move here from Morocco full time, and then we got here, split up from my wife, and then I spent about a year going, "What am I doing here? It's so cold and miserable and wet." and then when COVID hit, I was like, "Oh, now it makes sense." And the funny thing is, as well, this town was the headquarters of the UFO Society of Ireland. It's known as the Roswell of Ireland. There was a UFO crash just over the hill in 1996, and there's me with all the UFO weird stuff. I didn't know what I was doing spiritually. I just kind of felt like I stumbled here, but and then in the last few months, even though I've been dabbling a little bit into sacred sites in Ireland, and I've been traveling around and meeting some really interesting people, and then recently this whole idea of Ireland being Atlantis came up. And then I read a book, well, I'm not quite finished it, called Island Land of the Pharaohs. And the first thing that hit me in that book was that this country had 16 layers of black magic put upon it, whereas other countries had like 2. And I always had this strong feeling that this place was special beyond, on a multi-dimensional level. And then I did a video that's went up on YouTube yesterday, I think, which is from another amazing person based in Bali called Anaya Science Witch, and she got called to Ireland, and then she was looking at this map of ascension from Chinese medicine and realized it was the same shape as Ireland, and then she overlaid it with the human body, and then realized that the whole shape of Ireland was to do with the rising of the chrism oil and that whole circuit. And that's on the YouTube channel. So yeah, I think that there is something extraordinary about the place.
Wow, that's amazing. So much that you're activating me too as you say that. And even as you said that, I just got this download that you were there to even heal the wounded masculine.
I don't, people tell me all sorts of things on this show, and I just want to say to the viewers, I don't sit here going, yeah, I'm here to do that. I get worried about saying things like that. Throughout this show, since it started, I've been told I was in the secret space program. I'm the son of Valiant Thor. Tons of stuff, right? And I just want the viewers to understand, I don't go around saying this, but when I hear things like this, I take it on board because it is interesting, because I don't want my ego to get in the way of anything.
Right. I think it's a selfless thing in a way. I think to with your roots there. I guess this is what I'm kind of picking up on psychically, because I felt really tuned into even coming into this. That it's something within the land, it's something within the people, within the culture, within the strongholds of the collective fields, the seals and the limitations that have been placed upon the people of Ireland as well. And so I think, you know, your mission is extremely multidimensional in all, and it's not just one thing, but I can see that there's a part of the masculine body that is held almost in like contempt or some form of blockage there within that country, within the land, and that the goddess energy is coming in to clear that. So I can just see you kind of in between all those things, working the dynamics and working as a stewardship or as someone who's a guardian to kind of bring forth the energy in certain places that are needed to kind of shift and also heal the lovelessness. That's what I feel is lovelessness, the withholding of love. That's kind of what's coming through. It's like it's an aching in the heart. That's what I feel.
That is very interesting, and I have personal stories that 100% validate that, what you just said. Yeah.
Well, there's so much there. I mean, we could really open up that gate if we wanted to and go deeper into all of that. I feel it's very emotional. It's very weighted. Yeah. There's a lot of misconceptions around these things too, as well, when it comes to sensuality and intimacy and sexuality and relationships. And I can see Ireland as a whole. It's just like the sacral chakra is yawning. The sacral chakra needs deeper reparation within the land, like the sacral energy. That's kind of where, when I tune into Ireland, I see the blockages is around that.
Do you think they're getting unblocked? Because I think there has been a lot of work being done by a lot of really good people here over the last few years.
Yeah, it's definitely work in progress. I think as a whole, in terms of the globe, you know, us that are in Gridworker mission, because I think we have different levels and layers of people who are in different progressions of their ascension capacities. You know, we have people that are just awakening. We have people that are coming into starseed consciousness, which is something I know we're probably going to talk about at some point. And also people that are kind of going into different degrees of their indigo templating, into grid working, and becoming more global minded, becoming more global embodied. And so it's become about, you know, scouting the different locations of the earth and the interdimensional connections of these things. And one thing that I was awakened to was going down to Machu Picchu in about 7 months ago, and just really kind of sitting with the earth's sacral chakra body and connecting with all of the energies. And I could see these vast portal structures or portal systems from these stargates reaching out to different locations in different countries on the earth. And so I seen one of those connections going into Ireland. And I think it is improving, like you just asked, because I have so many friends right now that are really interested in taking upon Gridworker, friends that are reaching out to places like the Inishmore, and I just kind of brought that up before we came in, the Inishmore wormhole, which is considered connected to Atlantis, but also connected to the Atlantean network, which we had talked about last time. We had talked about this Atlantean grid structure through the Atlantic Ocean and all these surrounding countries that would have been a part of Atlantis, and Inishmore being one of those locations that connect into what's perceived as a black hole system. But as I learn more about it, I'm finding that people from Ireland actually left like soul shards of their essence or their being in that place. That in that Ireland is actually a place that people can go to collect like Akashic records. Like they can go to collect their soul shards that they left due to trauma, Holocaust, invader energies, ethnic cleansing, whatever it was, but they left parts of themselves there. And Inishmore was a living library of that energy. So there's just so much. Oh my gosh. When I think about Ireland, I just have so much opening up right now. I can
go for it.
I can feel the living library coming through. It's kind of like, you know, it's living kind of like South America. When I tune into Ireland, it's like this living Pachamama energy, the living Iro energy of the Earth Mother Goddess.
Did you say Iru?
I did.
So Iru is the goddess that resides under the stone of separation here, which is called Ishnok. Have you heard of that? I'm just showing people pictures of Inishmore while you're talking. Can you see these? Some incredible structures, especially this one, the horseshoe thing here.
The horseshoe, I guess, is supposed to be considered that living library. Like that is the library records is within that.
Yeah.
And so you can access the soul shards there to bring them in to embody more of your Akashic records. It's so interesting to me how so much of the people of our time, you know, Indigos, Empress, Starseeds carry Akashic records to Ireland, to Avalon, to Albion, to King Arthur, to Guinevere, to Camelot. Like it's such a global, extensive embodiment of Celtic and Druid and Viking. You know,
well, the Irish, excuse me, the Irish, I think, were the original advanced civilization. The Bible was written in Irish. All the megalithic structures here are greater than anywhere else in the world, and you can see how the book Island Atlantis, or Atlantis Island, kind of proves the route that this technology went over to England that way, and then over to Spain and Portugal, down to Egypt this way. And yeah, I think that's why this country has been shattered so hard by the dark forces, because they needed to suppress it, which is why it's got the highest rate of fluoridation in the water in the world, which is why the government here is atrocious. I mean, and I've seen the country change enormously just in the last 20 years by visiting here and stuff. It's just, and what's going on right now is that the Irish are being totally displaced by this illegal immigration that's going on here. A vast, like 80,000 young men unchecked in, with when there's no homes for anybody to live in. There's no rental market. There's nothing. It's extraordinary. We didn't come here to talk about Ireland, but we can carry on if you want to dig into it more.
The only thing that's coming to me with it is I actually did a show on this, and we talked about that this was where they had the Mary Magdalene laundry facilities.
Yes.
And that was kind of a big thing.
Massive.
Yeah.
And that was not, you know, the picture that's painted about that is that it was girls who fell in love and out of marriage, and no, it was child trafficking, it was rape, it was ritual abuse, it was huge, it was children being used for terrible vaccination experiments. You know, there's a huge satanic infiltration to this country that people just don't really know about.
Yeah, no, yeah, you're spot on. You're right. It's all a part of the forced breeding programs, and kind of what happened through those bloodlines. And yeah, so it's an atrocity in our Akashic record. It's a core world wound.
Yeah.
Essentially. And so we're recovering from this. And I think these conversations are really important, because if we don't know about these things, how can we heal them? I think that's a lot of the disconnect, is that people aren't aware of the history and what has happened. And so there's no connection there's like a trauma that has occurred in the field, but there's no recollection to what it's connecting back to.
That's right, because it's all been rewritten. You know, the famine in Ireland was not a famine. It was mass murder. It was genocide. You know, and the trauma, I was speaking to somebody about this who's done a lot of work with people. He's a healer who's done a lot of work with people with Celtic origins. And there's a thing here where people go, well, instead of saying yes, you could say, yeah, what did you think to that? And they do this shortness of breath thing because of the past trauma. Because it's total fear. And, you know, that's how you mold a complete country. That's how you destroy a society. That's how you control a society over thousands of years, because that's the thing that people also don't understand, is that the plans of the dark they're very long term, and then people have 60-70 year lifespans. Then 2 generations, they've completely forgotten the history is completely rewritten.
Yeah, we are a species struggling with the amnesia, the infiltration of amnesia. Without amnesia, yeah, we would definitely be probably, farther along in some aspects of our progression, but it plays a big factor in all of that, definitely, is how quickly we forget.
Yeah, and one of the things about this country is that the until maybe 2012, 2010, 2012, the predominantly powerful force here was the Vatican, and you just got back from there, haven't you?
I did. I took kind of a guardian contract in a guardian mission. I think there's a lot of different types of missions one can take, but mine was to go in and correct the reversal energies that are running there. Also to study, also to explore, also to interpret the mechanics of how a 5D reversal Stargate works and functions. Not things that I was too excited about looking at, like, yeah, sure, let me just go into a reversal gate. This looks like fun. No, I mean, there was a lot of hesitance. One thing that I noticed once I booked the ticket and committed to the mission is my energy field started kind of functioning in a reversal flow. I could start to feel that immediately happen. And it was kind of something that felt almost outside of my conscious control, because I could feel it taking place in the lucid state or even in the astral and the dream space, as I could feel my field starting to align to the spin field of that gate system. What I mean by that is that gate system, or what is in the land, or what is encoded as the Stargate, it's not naturally in a reversal energy, but it's been hijacked by certain energies, invader energies, artificial energies, alien abuse, alien technologies, beast machines, whatever you want to say or call it. But it's basically been infiltrated and has tapped off and hijacked off the natural resource and energy. I think the true energy is connected to the Etruscans, which was the civilization prior to the Romans, and they were connecting it into the goddess Vatica and some other things as well. But I think it's just a strong organic vortex in our planet due to the coordinates, the longitude, the latitude, the Archangel Michael ley line, the blue flame energy that's running through there. So there's a lot of natural, I mean, even the there's a Castel, Angelo de Castel. It's right over the Angel Bridge in Rome. I mean, that's where they have a big statue of Archangel Michael sheathing his sword. It's where he was supposedly first sighted and spotted. So I think it's a campaign there to hijack the natural resources of the blue flame, the blue energy. And you think about everything we have going on in current times with the blue beam projects and the UFO activity, just kind of tying that in. But this is how they hijack the blue flame natural resources and energy, essentially, on a spiritual level. But so, yeah, I went into going with my Gridwork team, and we worked to correct the reversal energies. One thing we seen was reversal energies running around the obelisk network. There's 13 obelisks in Rome that are all really tied to a lot of the curses, I think, from Egypt, a lot of the Christian crusader energy, tied to domination and control, and also the patriarchy control as well. So we just kind of made clockwise trips around those obelisks and tried to reverse those energy spins, and also collapse down portal systems that would be connected to negative and nefarious agendas, such as like pedophilia, which is what we know the Vatican is really, rooted in. Enslavement, public execution and prosecution, and beheading and decapitation. That was one thing I didn't expect to find there going in. I wasn't thinking about this, but going in, I realized that a lot of the history of Rome really was about decapitation, public execution. I mean, the deepest wounding of all of these severe punishments for injustices of belief systems. And even going into the Vatican, I took a tour into the Vatican Hall. They had a whole hall of decapitated statues and heads, where they even decapitated a lot of the goddesses that were in the Palatine Hill.
This is really interesting, because the thing I was just talking to you about, where the I can't remember the name of it, but the ascension, Chinese medicine ascension kind of map overlaid onto Ireland, and Anaya was pointing out that you could see the chakra system and the body parts and everything else, and the bit that was cut off was the head, which is Northern Ireland. So Northern Ireland's been separated from the rest of the country, and there's a spiritual reason for this decapitation, because it all connects.
It really does. That's interesting you bring that up, because you think about what the Albion ley line is. It's actually a ley line that I think runs down through Ireland and the UK and down to Vatican. It runs along the central 0-point field of the globe. And it's considered like the dragon's spine. Even if you look at it in terms of country and their affiliating national animal, I think Wales holds the dragon, China holds the dragon. I mean, these are clear indicators of like a dragon energy or a dragon body.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, yeah, that's exactly the ley line. Awesome. That was in a book that I have that I've looked at before. But I feel like it's a disembodiment of the dragon's parts, that to tear apart the dragon parts, the head, the arms, the legs, and spread apart the body of the dragon, so that way it cannot be fully self-actualized in its totality, at least amongst human beings, of what the spirit energy of the dragon truly is, which is an identity of the Divine Mother and the earth body, and ultimately also Tiamat as well, serpent dragon, seraphim soul bodies. So I feel like on a deeper level, that kind of comes back to the desecration of the Divine Mother, the desecration of the Divine Sophia. And, it could tie into desecration of the father principles as well within the Elohai or the Elohim. But it definitely is, I think, about fragmenting who we really are, our soul bodies, our spirit bodies, and disallowing us from being able to connect the dots. Again, amnesia playing a big role in that.
Yeah. Well, how do we pull it all together?
That's a really good question. I think I've yet to read any great books of literature that have been able to divulge the whole picture. It's everybody seems to have a piece or a part of it, right? I think the more ceremony that we can do where we're calling back our dragon parts, the more ceremony that we can do where we're pulling in our ancestry and being able to get more clarity and wisdom through these aspects of ourselves. But the problem is, too, when you're calling in this ancestral energy, so much has been fragmented and disassociated through energetic fields in the earth body that are tampered through artificial intelligence, through things like the blue beam technologies, all of their hyperdimensional warfare, psychotronic warfare, MK Ultra programs, monarchy programs, Smithsonian programs, whatever it is. There's so much that aims and gears towards limiting, the development of the spiritual body or the spiritual human. We're all fighting for this freedom and sovereignty, and in all the ways that we can. But it's definitely about more unity, coming together. Unity.
I wrote a poem called Unity. I put it out about 2 weeks ago.
That's good. Would you like to share it with us? Sounds great.
Yeah, I'll dig it up.
Okay. I mean, even in the higher consciousness community, there's so much division. There's so much warfare, disclosure community. My gosh.
I know.
How do we get everyone on the same page of the law of one?
That's here.
Yeah.
I've not read it all yet. I found it very difficult, to be honest. But I'm thinking of taking 2 weeks off just to read it, because I haven't had time.
That'd be probably nice to bring that study in.
Here we go.
Hello.
This is Mark Attwood. There is a reason for me recording in this dim light, because I'm going to read a poem for you that I wrote last year. And it's a poem about where we are going. And where we're going is into a state of unity. I know it doesn't seem like that right now. The world does not seem united in any way, but on a spiritual level, we're going there very, very quickly. So this is a poem called Unity. Unity, it's you and me. The future's here at last. Manufactured differences tossed into the forsaken past. An intellectual concord, the oneness of our souls, united in the face of evil, our victory untold. Unity, it's you and me. Do you feel it yet? Here we are in the dark. Never forget how we came together, how we fell apart, divided by those unknown, revealed on the ark. Our unity, it seems insane, breaking out a sweat. Soon it will be the time. Is your appetite still wet? Understanding unity, that's our job at hand. And there, the question hangs its head in the forgotten sands. Oops.
That's deep.
Well, no, I wanted to play it back because I was going to say the same thing to you. I've got this, it does seem like a really fragmented world, but I am an apocalyptimist, and I've just got this strong feeling, because when you're talking about all the fragmentation, the disjointedness, the fighting, the disagreements, and everything on every level in the, I don't know, enlightened community, for want of a better term, I've just got a really positive feeling it's all just going to snap into place. Call me old-fashioned.
I think that the universe ultimately is working for the betterment of humanity, that we get so locked in these idealizations, these perceptions, these mind control campaigns, these brain waves that are infiltrated to give us thoughts of fear and whatever it is. But when we take a step back and look at it from our avatar perspective, we can see how the universe is working on our behalf. I even felt compelled to try to soothe some of the concerns over the recent current events of all these UFO activities and UFO planes being shot down. And because I received strong messages this morning that it was like a guardian intervention. It was particular celestial happenings, angelic celestial happenings that are trying to unite countries and leaders and governments and kind of seeing maybe a unified enemy, so to speak, like a galactic enemy, where it's trying to bring people together versus using it to divide us. That if we see like a common defense, that maybe we can come together in some of our perceptions.
Well, Ronald Reagan said in his speech in '86 about that time, we had a common enemy from outside space, right? And he was talking about that when he was talking about the SDI, Space Defense Initiative, back then. But also at the same time, the Project Blue Beam fake alien invasion idea was going to be like the one of the cards they'd play to bring in the New World Order to unite everybody against this thing. So what are your feelings on that? Which, because I think I understand what you're saying, but I also see it as a weapon against the human race by having the fake alien invasion to make us all unite and then go, yeah, we need, because it's your classic Hegelian dialect, isn't it? or the problem, reaction, solution. You want everybody to go, yes, please give us a one world government. So you make them terrified that they're getting invaded by something outside of the world. So which is it?
Yeah. There's definitely so many probability timelines running right now. It's hard to just kind of settle into one thing, why so much is still unfolding. I know that Stephen Greer, and I know a lot of people are not fans of him because of the controlled opposition narrative and all of that, but I think he did come out with a new video saying that a lot of these false flag events are basically to cover up covert criminal activity by the governments and things like that. So yeah, I mean, that's all playing out, I think, in the third dimension, even the fourth dimensional and cosmic galactic warfare. But if we go up even at a higher level and look at the purpose of what these things are from 9th dimensional, 10th dimensional, 12th dimensional level, like where you're really going universal mind, avatar mind, you can see how some of these things also are put in place to try to divert division and also bring people together in that distraction tactic as well. No, but I totally agree that it's up for a lot of speculation, and that I don't ultimately personally have the answer for these things. I just know that I just kind of go with what my spirit guides are telling me, and that is not to panic, not to worry, do not exist in fear that we're going to ultimately be looking at a World War III cataclysmic situation that, ultimately that it's going to resolve itself at some point.
Yeah, I'm not worried about that. Who cares? We're eternal. We're eternal spirits. If that happens, it happens.
Even just talking about that, my solar plexus and my sacral chakra starts like going nuts. Because I'm just like, oh, this is heavy.
Listen, I spent the 80s hiding under a desk with a cardboard box when they put out films like Threads and stuff, and I'm like, I've been through all of that. It's all fine.
Yeah, there's so much positive things, I think, that are I think people forget about the guardians. They forget about the covenants of the soul groups of the star seeds. We focus so much on like this genetic modification, needlecraft technology, alien mutation therapies in the DNA, and like, yeah, that stuff's playing out. But I mean, we have so many legions of guardian systems. Like the Pleiadians, like the Arcturians, like the Lyrans, the Syrians that work on behalf of humanity as well, and getting people into the ascension cycles.
You sent me all these, what do you call them? Activators.
Starseed Activators, yeah.
And you got the Arcturians here, the Orions, Pleiadians, the Syrians. Thank you for sending these, by the way.
You're welcome. Was there anyone that you felt cosmically attuned to?
Well, I wanted to wait until you came on the show before I opened one, so I've just unboxed them.
Oh wow, this is fun then. Okay.
Yeah, and I feel drawn to this one. What do I do with it?
Well, I would start by maybe just putting a little bit on your wrist and just kind of smelling it. Don't maybe spray too much because I want you to just kind of get like a.
Oh, it's
whoa! Which one is that?
Have a guess.
I kind of thought it was Orion or Syrian. Andromeda. Okay.
I was going to go for Orion, and I thought, no, I'll go for. That's amazing.
Well, just so everybody know that's watching, I did pull your birth chart right before we came in here, and it makes sense that you would go for that one because.
Well, I think, to be honest, I think that's why I went for it, because you said that before the show.
Yeah, because you have Andromeda in your moon position.
It is amazing. Oh.
I believe you have it at, let me see. Yeah, 11 degrees Pisces. So that would be in alignment to Andromeda. And that's a very powerful system for you being in your moon position. You're very psychically dialed into that galaxy. And it could be one of the reasons, I don't know if people perceive you maybe as eccentric or
eccentric.
Yeah, like a little bit kind of.
Oh yeah.
Those people where they're like, just can't put a finger on that person. Like they're just
kind
of strange.
Yeah. Most people point at me and say, dickhead.
That's kind of an Andromedan quality, is that they are very foreign to this universal system. They're not.
Well, I've always felt that way.
Mhm. It's because your entire field is flowing in the particle rotation of the Andromedan system.
Okay.
So it's hard for people to identify exactly what you're about, where you're from. You're kind of like you have a question mark or like a mystery box around you. I also think Andromedans can have difficulty in the love department as well.
Oh,
They have,
big time.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah. They, like, you know the story of Andromeda, the princess chained in space?
Nope.
Like waiting for Perseus to come and rescue her. And I think it can be like that for Andromedans, is that they feel that they are waiting for their knight in shining armor. They're waiting for their true love. And it's only like one person for them. And so if that person doesn't come, then they wait. They just wait forever. It's one of the things that it can be it's a little bit of a tragic love story with the Andromedans. I think they can do well with other Andromedans. Other Andromedans can really, I think, nurture that quality within them. It's a Pisces thing. Andromeda comes through the Pisces system. So you know how Pisces can be kind of in their own self undoing and just a little bit of internal emotional madness. Yeah,
Well,
but
when you talk like this, I feel like such a student. I feel like I've got so much more to learn, because you said to me before, have you got your birth chart to hand? I was like, no, why would I have that to hand? Because I kind of just take information and I move on. I don't sit and contemplate it necessarily. And I've been told so many things, like I said earlier, that I don't know where to. I just follow my instinct and follow my intuition. Try not to label myself, but it is very interesting. And this is so. What does this do, Indy?
well, it works on the frequency of essential oils. So each one of them was designed and attuned to the star system according to the qualities of that system that I was kind of identifying as I was channeling information. And I was guided to specific scents that would have been orientated to that system. So um, in a state of this other type of consciousness or existence or origination from these systems, we also had the qualities of scent, we had qualities of sight and other psychic perceptions. So we're just kind of reactivating the knowing to that star system through essential oils, essentially, and attuned through crystals. So I also put crystals in each one as well. But essentially, essential oils really activate the higher chakras. So the heart chakra, the throat chakra, the third eye, the crown chakra. It really opens one up to allowing those chakras to really expand like flower petals into the sun, essentially, and really anchors the warmth of the knowing in their heart. And so there's a lot of different ways you can use them just by putting them on you. Obviously, you could put them in a diffuser. You could spray them on your spiritual altars. And I use them for grid work as well. I take them with me to sacred locations and try to activate the galactic energy with that as well. But of course, these are just an attunement tool. There's lots of ways that you can attune to your starseed origins. I think attuning to starseed origins is really important because it's a principle that's beyond astrology. Instead of saying like, oh, I'm just a Pisces, or I'm just, whatever sign you are, you're actually narrowing it down to the specific star in that system in which your soul incarnated from. So it fine tunes the cosmology of your identity and your soul group as well, because some of these soul groups are like giant collective egregoric fields that are holding thousands and millions of people within them that are all sharing that same cosmic design. And so when you can tap into that, you're pulling the support from that Akashic record, but you're also pulling your cosmic identity in the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th dimensional field. And it's really about accelerating your intelligence here. Starseed consciousness is about evolved intellect. So people get caught up in this cosmic warfare game, right? Of like, oh, this battle, this warfare, these people are bad, this is bad. There's good and bad in every single system, even the Palladian, even the Syrian, There's good and bad in every single one. And essentially we are, recollecting and inheriting that cosmic knowledge to accelerate us in our starseed missions. Getting on mission in general, when you're doing grid work, when you're doing anything that's like what you do for your mission, like you have the Mark Attwood show. Like this is your mission. It is here to spread knowledge. It is to inform people. It's to love people. It's to embrace people and teach about unity. That's your cosmic mission. That has nothing to do with your human, technically, even though it's coming through your human expression. That's all coming to you through your cosmic intelligence. It's coming.
I think you're right. I know you're right, because when I started this, it was like I had no choice, and I was my brain was going, "What are you doing? You're nuts!" And then I just went and did it anyway because I had to. And then I've been saying to people, "No, I'm on a mission. I'm on a mission," and they're like, "What are you talking about?" Like, I don't know. It's a mission. I don't know what it is, but it is. And then I'm just following. Or it's all intuitively followed, and and then people get annoyed with me because I don't answer emails quickly enough because I'm not professional enough or whatever. But I can't. I have to do it by the way that I'm directed to do it, and it's amazing. But it means that it's also quite difficult being here as a human being, because I don't match human expectations, if you see what I mean. Even with some of my children, they're like, what are you, in a cult? What's going on? Why the YouTube channel? What's the big deal? Why do you see angels and fairies and dragons and UFOs? Why don't I? And I'm like, I don't know. It's just the way it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like those radial intelligences. That's what they are. Is they're radial intelligences that come into our cellular structure, into our universal tree of life, into our holographic templating, just into the perception that we have, because we go subatomic, we go quantum cognition when we activate to this information and this intelligence and this energy. And it's you just going into the most infinite quantum space within you to retrieve knowledge at the speed of light differentiation. That's all Starseed consciousness is the awareness of the differentiation between light codes in your body.
Is it not the speed of memory?
Yeah, that too.
Because that's faster than light.
Yeah, memory, light, the Hall of Records,
Did you ever see my poem? Can't remember what it's called now. There and Back Again.
Mm-mm.
Can I play you it?
Yeah, sure. This is great. This is so fun.
Well, I don't often play. Somebody's going to go, yes, you do. You do it all the time. But this poem, I think it's appropriate for you.
Okay. I'd love to hear it.
Okay, it's a short one as well. So if you're watching at home, don't make tea because you won't have time. There and back again. Ma ha ka wa ta he. He ta wa ka ha ma. There and back again. Do you see? Multi-dimensional beings are we. From the energy of the first light, through the calendar of the light of days, with the veil down, we were in a haze. 1 to 10 and back again. In the darkness we held each other tightly until the light came. The dragon blood, the Taki, the Akashic potentiality. At the speed of memory, we came there and back again. From the I am to the we are. We came far, there and back again.
That was amazing. I really got this whole observation, like you were really pulling yourself back to observe what we were or what we are in terms of our eternal light as a soul body and I could feel myself expanding just listening to that. Yeah.
Well, I don't know where they come from. I do.
So poetry is kind of one of your things that you like to do creatively.
Yeah, always have. I was writing poems as a kid. I got published in a book when I was 21, and I was always writing poems, but usually when bad things happened, like COVID. But if a relative died, or if somebody, Mark, write a poem, and come out these poems. Having kids kind of stopped me doing lots of things because I was busy trying to bring them up. But yeah, poetry is one of my favorite things to do. If I get time, or the call. So actually, it's not about time. It's like they come and you have to put them out. And sometimes they come and you don't have to put them out yet, but you put them out later.
Yeah, I think poetry is a form of light language. It's
So
like mastering the linguistic aspect of art, and I think it's something that's not recognized a lot because I don't think there's a lot of eyes and ears that can recognize the quality in it.
Although poetry is the most prevalent art form on the planet, it's in every birthday card, it's on every gravestone, it's everywhere. People always they don't value it, but when they want it, they do value it.
Yeah, as I say, it feels a little taken for granted, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, you can't really monetize poetry. I mean, a best-selling poetry book sells like 2,000 copies. It's like nobody wants to sit and read it, but they will. If there's an emotional event, they'll listen to it. But that's why songs are fantastic, because that's just a poem to music, really. And rapping, look how popular rapping is. That's poetry. But because there's music involved, you can charge money for it.
Right. I also wanted to tell you a little bit more about your chart too, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. I'll just put up a link for everybody while you're doing that for you.
Okay. So in your Mercury and your Saturn, you're at 28 degrees Aries and 27 degrees Aries. So you would be in the beginning markers of Pleiades within that as well. So you're definitely a Pleiadian. So you're Andromedan, Pleiadian, and also Orion as well, because you have 14 degrees Gemini in your rising position. So you have the Betelgeuse system. And in terms of occult system, so just so everyone knows, there are 6 universal guardian nations: Orion, Sirian, Arcturian, Pleiadian, Andromedan, and which one did I miss? And Lyran. Essentially, those are all 6 universal nations that were kind of coalitioned as soul groups to protect the spiritual evolution of humanity. But you have other occult systems in your chart as well. It looks like, I'm looking really quick. I'm decoding them. Hang on. I want to say Pegasi. You may have Pegasi and maybe even Fomalhaut as well, which is a royal star.
Oh, that's interesting. I wrote a poem about the royal star.
Yeah, and I thought I saw Antares as well. I'm just trying to look and see if I can. Yeah, you do have Antares in your Neptune, 28 degrees Scorpio.
So I'm a spiritual mongrel.
Yes, you're hybridized with many celestial systems.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think your mission can activate from those systems at many different times. You may be influenced somewhat by the Orion system, like it may be somewhat of a calling to you to rise up into being a polarity integrator or a duality integrator, kind of an indigo type 3 templating, which is where you're kind of extracting negative forces from the earth. And
I feel like I have been doing that.
Yeah,
for my whole life. Sorry?
I think you have been too, definitely, with some of the stuff you were telling me with the ley lines, with the Queen's energy.
Mm-hmm. So what about for people watching this who want to find out how I'm a big advocate of finding out who you really are. and that's a multi-dimensional process. It's not just your ancestors on Earth. It's not just your life on Earth. It's who your spirit guides are, which angel is taking care of you, or where you trained, or which star system you came from originally, you know, where you, and all these things that you've talked about on your star sign. And it's a great big huge, isn't it? I mean, it's not a simple thing, because some of us have been around for millions and millions of years, so piecing it all together.
I think you came originally from Andromeda. I think you were part of the, now that I'm picking up on it, kind of tuning into more, I think you were part of the Aquafarian tribes in the Andromeda systems, which were all aquatic beings. And I can even see now parts of like a galactic form coming in that's kind of like this blue being that has aquatic tentacles and kind of like gills, but it's also like in a humanoid form as well. And I can see you're carrying like the seeds to all of the 12 tribal races of humanity, that you were a part of this. And then I can also see divine feminine councils as well coming in that were from the Cassiopean system, that are saying that you were also a part of their like light energy, like you were connected to these, like, this feels like creator energy beyond the Lemurian time. This feels like even before.
Well, I got told I did an Akashic record recently, and I was told I was a Shadarian, which is like a really psychic place, like first incarnation after source, leaving source energy, that was just totally psychic and kind of blue blobs that projected things. And but then I've also been told that I spent time in Venus. So I don't know how Venus fits into this, but
see what your Venus is in. Oh, your Venus is in Aries. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's not linear.
No, I know.
Yeah, there's no like linear explanation for any of this. It's you know, I personally have kind of a timeline in my mind, and in the way in which I think Earth evolved, starseeds evolved. I think we have a common shared Akashic timeline, where like, yeah, you were here during the Polarian root race, you were here during the Hyperborean time, you were here doing Lemuria.
That's all happening now.
Yeah.
This puzzle, it's just endless puzzle.
It is a big puzzle. It's so fun to dive into all of the dynamics of it, though, because it's, you know, I think it's about, I think we're all just activation adrenaline junkies, to be honest with you. Like, we're all looking for the next activation. We're all looking for the next thing that's going to root us in truth, our sovereignty, what is guiding us to our next revelation of our soul's development and evolution. And it's all serving a purpose, you know? And
yeah, well, this time we're in now, how are you feeling about where we're at and where we're going in terms of like 3D human kind of aspect to it? Or 4D human, 5D human?
I think we're kind of in a tough place currently. You know, I think there's a lot of convoluted energy. That's kind of what I've been getting a lot, is everything's convoluted. There's a lot of I think targeting of starseeds, targeting of Empis and Indigos. I think we're fighting a spiritual warfare. I think that's playing out on the 2D, the 3D, and the 4D planes. I think as you get higher into the ascension awareness, you know, we transcend a lot of that dualistic contention. But it just depends where we are residing as individuals in terms of our consciousness perception, right? Like, you know, if I go into the 3D field, like, it's going to be brutal, you know, but if I go up higher, it's going to be, I'm riding the higher timelines, and I'm well on my way into new Earth. I feel like I personally fluctuate between all of those realms, even simultaneously sometimes. So it depends on who we're talking to. Like, where are you in your ascension? You know, because for some people, it's the message of keep your head above water, keep clearing, keep protecting, setting your shields, working to lift the density out of your body, because some people are really submerged, you know, and they're really fighting what feels like purgatory realms or underworld realms. Some people are you know, really expanded and they're in their creation abilities, and none of that really applies to them. And so they're seeking adventure and they're seeking wisdom experiences. And so it's right now, I think humanity is really waking up. We're really in the brink of our awakening, and we're at the beginning of it though. We're really at the beginning, and so a lot's still revealing itself. And that's why we're gaining tools and all kinds of things like these Starseed attunement tools, is because what I've seen in my vision is that we are going into New Earth, that those seed codes have already seeded into the grid and light matrices and templates of humanity. And we are building upon those, and more people who are waking up to those ascension capacities, getting on mission, getting into their starseed information, all that stuff, that these are next level biological markers that are like stepping stools to get people into the next phase of evolution of that embodiment for the new earth, that we are essentially just transmitters and code keepers to that information.
Brilliant.
So, yeah.
Well, that's the perfect place to end this chat, because I've got 3 boys waiting for me to make them dinner because it's quite late and they haven't eaten. But it's lovely to speak to you. Maybe come on again and let's do some more Gridwork talk, because I feel like I need to learn more. Because you sound like an encyclopedia sometimes when you talk, and I have to go back and watch this again. But
oh my gosh. Yeah, I would love to. There's so much grid work happening right now. I taught a Gridworker Facilitator course as well, learn.IndigoAngel222.com. And I teach everything from the intro levels of grid work to facilitation level, either through remote session and also live boots on the ground.
Maybe we should do a Gridwork webinar.
I would love to.
Let's have a chat about that, because yeah, I think it's good to come off YouTube and go into a learning space in the webinar environment. And I'm enjoying doing those with a couple of other people at the moment. But yeah, it's great to see you again. Thank you for sending these over.
Yeah, no problem. You're welcome. I'm so happy that you enjoyed them.
Well, I'm gonna see which ones my kids feel drawn to, and because I mean, it's already got a healing thing going on. I can feel it.
Yeah, you should let each one of the kids try them. See which ones they're called to, because that's probably going to be an indicator in what their origin is.
Yeah.
Well,
that's what we're going to do. Keep finding out who you are, and go to the link below this to get in touch with Indigo, and we'll chat soon. Got to go now. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Take care. Bye, everyone.